Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Centaurs or Cyborgs podcast. Today we'll be discussing the GPT store, OpenAI's take on the App Store. This was launched last month. There are a variety of featured custom GPTs that are made in a code-free way. So really anyone can upload and create a custom GPT with its own logo. They have not yet announced a precise monetization scheme. The current information about how this is monetized is that in Q1, they say they will launch a GPT Builder revenue program. They will provide more details for payments as they get closer. So that part's not fully baked yet, but there are simple instructions for creating, publishing, making a GPT in the store. We'll go over one of them today, talk about its limitations. We'll pick a example case. Use case will be about building a personal trainer bot that is going to use some fitness protocols and your own data to help you train. Let's take a look at what it will take to make one of these GPTs. So I go to chat.openai.com/GPTs. And with my Plus subscription, I'm allowed to click Create to create a custom GPT. This takes me to a draft of the new GPT. I'll name this one Personal Trainer. I'll add a short description, provide workout guidance, and store previous workouts. So the first blocker I'm going to run into is that my personal trainer using this system is not going to be able to optimally store my previous workouts, so can't really analyze what I've done. So instead, I'm going to pivot a bit and say, okay, this personal trainer is going to instead provide workout guidance based on a fitness protocol. And I will use a fitness protocol from the one and only Huberman Lab. They've created a PDF of a foundational fitness protocol, just a page that will serve as a baseline for what you want to do during a 7-day period. So I can give instructions to this GPT. I'll tell it to review what is in that protocol's knowledge base and propose a weekly plan to achieve it. I'll upload a file from that protocol knowledge base. Now there are certain capabilities available, such as web browsing, code interpreter. I can also create custom actions. I'm going to turn these off. The ability to generate an image in DALL-E is not something that my personal trainer needs to be able to do. In fact, I don't trust it to be able to generate an image, let's say, of a specific workout, because that is not something the AI is advanced enough to do yet. And then I will create a photo for the personal trainer using DALL-E. And let's test it. I will ask it, what's a possible workout plan for this week? I have a busy Saturday. Okay, so it's coming up with a workout schedule. It's recommending my endurance workout to be on Sunday at Zone 2 cardio, Monday for legs resistance, Tuesday for heat and cold, Wednesday torso and neck, Thursday cardio, Friday high intensity, Saturday light activity since I'm busy. Okay. That doesn't seem like a bad day, a bad week, a bad answer to this. This is what happens if you turn on DALL-E image generation and ask the agent or the custom GPT to generate a diagram of the week's workout. This is one of the reasons why you don't want that. This capability is just not here yet. The ability to have text and images combined into a diagram, this is completely nonsensical. We see lots cardio. We see completely made up, almost parody-esque diagrams of movements. Yeah, this is not launchable. So in summary, here we have the custom GPT. We turned off the DALL-E image generation, turned off code interpreter, web browsing. Really all we have in terms of custom configured things are the prompt, the instructions, and the PDF knowledge base. This PDF was downloaded from the Huberman Lab list of protocols. And now to save the GPT, you go into the upper right-hand corner. You can save it just for yourself or make it public by clicking the Publish to Everyone button and confirm. So that shows how to build a custom GPT using the GPT builder, the code-free way that OpenAI has allowed people to build custom GPTs. However, in our example use case, the personal trainer bot, there are several pieces of functionality that are missing. Specifically, we'd like to be able to log and save new daily entries that are then analyzed by the bot. So let's discuss some alternative architectures that would allow us to do that. One option would be to try to store all those previous daily logs in the context window. That would have been considered fanciful as recently as a week ago. However, with Google's Gemini 1.5 announcement of a context window of up to 1 million tokens, this might be possible in the future. However, even then, there's a downside of not having a structured, transparent storage of that information and potential cost of sending up to 1 million tokens into a large language model. An alternative architectural option is to use a built-in memory feature. This is something that OpenAI released in a blog post 5 days ago. The blog post about memory and new controls for ChatGPT, in which they're testing the ability for ChatGPT to remember more things that you've discussed. However, looking at the examples, these are more likely to be preferences and small details, and does not allow you to store information up to the level of detail of a daily log entry for several years. This seems to be more of an extension to auto-build your profile, things that are going to be put into the context window for future chats, and does not actually meet our functional requirements. So that leads us to the third architectural option, which is a slightly more tried and true method of storing data externally to then be retrieved by a RAG, aka Retrieval Augmented Generation. So to summarize, the benefit of transparency is key here because it allows us to see exactly how the large language model is interpreting your daily log and storing it explicitly in a Google Doc. So this has a benefit of allowing you to track and make sure that it's not making mistakes, hallucinating things. And if we explicitly tell it to store the logs with a specific format, like year-day-month or vice versa, we can then know that it's doing a good job or not by checking this sandboxed Google Drive folder where we will be storing information. And it is relatively future-proof. There's a compromise to be made between more structured external representations like a SQL database versus text only. where there's more flexibility in case you change which exercises you want to store or what types of things you want logged. So we will use Langchain to build our own custom agent that can retrieve documents and even save new documents and analyze those. Langchain has very thorough documentation on retrieval specifically. This documentation here goes through how to read information from a TXT file, but they additionally have retrieval tools for Google Drive as well. Their Google Drive tool allows you to specify specific folders to load from. And so I'm going to sandbox my personal trainer agent to only have access to one folder just to avoid any data leakage or deletion of my other data so I can clearly watch what the agent is doing. So moving over to my own code here, I have first set up my folder ID. I need to set up the credentials path. We're not going to go into much detail on the credentials today, but I will share this code for those wanting to implement this on their own. So I will go through setting up the folder ID, the credentials path, importing a bunch of Google API, doc, OAuth libraries. There is a function that I mostly took from documentation, did some slight modifications that allows me to build a service that interacts with Google Drive and a doc service to interact with Google Docs so that I can save, modify files in Drive and Docs. And I'm going to go through authorizing it. So actually when it starts up, it asks for my authorization. And I'm going to click authorize through here. Great. That can be made more efficient by using a service account, actually. But for now, I've set it up using an OAuth 2 account. Moving forward, I now want to create tools. So Langchain tools are the equivalent of OpenAI's functions. They are abilities that agents can have. So I'm going to have a function called create Google Doc. This uses the service object, which is a Google Doc service, to allow me to create the doc. And then I'm going to have the doc service allow me to update with new text into the file that I just created. So these two functions define the ability to create a Google Doc and to insert text into it. Then I will import the tool decorator from Langchain using this @tool syntax. I will have a function that explicitly allows me to create a new docs, and I add this extra information in the comment so that Langchain can have more context, so the agent can have more context on knowing create a Google Doc and have it have this format. Additionally, there's the retrieval tool component. This is much more off the shelf. I used the Google Drive loader, initialized it with my folder ID, used the classic Langchain text splitter. This is covered thoroughly by other tutorials out there. The most important thing is to note that this is run once. I create a retriever from these chunked documents. Essentially, all my documents are split into smaller files that are of size of 1,000. There are embeddings made of each of those. And then when the agent wants to find an answer to a question, it will do a similarity search looking at the embeddings of each of those 1,000 token chunks. And an additional tool I'm going to add, this is a custom one that I wrote, is to get the date, today's date in New York City, where I live. I created this function to guide the agent to be able to have a formatted output in year, month, day. That way I can have it reliably store information in this format. This is an extra guardrails added to make sure it does its job. So I'm going to run all this code from the top. You've got the doc creation tool, the inserting text, which is combined into creating new doc with text. The retrieval tool, it initializes a Google Drive loader. This will load all the files in that entire folder into the retriever tool. And then finally, the formatted date tool gets run. To combine all these tools, I'm going to also add the ability to have a tool to look and do internet search using DuckDuckGo. This, I'm not sure how often it's going to use, but I do want my agent to have access to it just in case. So the list of final tools is going to be the document retrieval from Google Drive, internet search, the ability to get today's date, and to create a new doc with text. So now I have these tools defined. I'm going to do some prompt engineering to make sure that this personal trainer agent has correct prompts. The prompt that you get by default is "you are a helpful assistant." This is a prompt that's pulled from the OpenAI tools agent in the Langchain hub where users can upload prompts. I'm going to modify this prompt to say it's "you are a helpful workout assistant." Use your get today's date NYC function tool to get today's date. You should output workout logs using a tool to save them to a new file whose name is the date in this format, year, month, day. You will only log exercises whose name exactly matches the name of the exercises in the reference stock. This is a line that I added in order to have more structured saving. And then I have in the preference document, I create a document called preferences in which I store the protocol I want to follow. Like I want to do legs twice a week and I want to do some cardio and endurance, etc. So this is my more fleshed out prompt. And now I'm going to use the January 25th GPT-4 preview, OpenAI agent. Oh, my tools file is not defined. I'm going to run this to define what my tools are, document retrieval tool, etc. So now I have created an agent executor, and I will run a first command and say, "Hi, I'm Bob." And it says, the personal trainer says, "Hello, Bob. How can I assist you today?" My follow-up question will be, are there any workouts stored for today? Just checking what is today's date. Now, benefit of using the agent executor in verbose mode is I can follow exactly how it is executing which tools. So I see that it's invoking get today's date. That shows that it's decided to use the tool. The agent executor has decided to use one of the tools I gave it, the one to get today's date. And then the response from that function was, well, it's 2024, February 19th, this format. So now it will search the past workouts with that query. And it's going to find several, here it's going to get very verbose. It's going to find several logs of my previous exercises. What's most important is seeing what did it get as a result. Today's date is February 19th. There are no workouts stored specifically for today. Would you like a workout for today or need assistance? Well, then ask it, well, what days do you have workouts stored for? And I'll run the agent executor for that. Let's see. It goes ahead and it looks at search past workouts with query, and the query is nonsensical, which says any workouts. And the output's going to be, I found workouts stored for the previous day. So it has 3 stored already. I can also ask it, for example, what schedule of a workout am I doing in April in 2024? I already asked it. Oh, and here's actually looking up online. I already had told it to look in the preferences doc. So let's see. I'll change the message to based on my preferences, intentions in terms of schedule A and B. That's high low volume or low/high volume. Let's see if now if it looks at my preferences as opposed to the internet. Yes, now it looks at this document I wrote every month, establish that month in schedule A or B. And the answer is going to be now based on the established schedule, starting with January 24th, schedule A, alternating each month. April 2024 would be designated as schedule B. And it's telling them to do 8 to 15 reps with moderate or lighter weights. Okay, what else can we do next? Let's talk about some future directions of this app. So, first of all, this UI, this Python notebook UI, is really not optimal for actually having a chatbot. It's useful for being able to see the trace and the verbose logging of what it's doing, but ideally I could add the improved UI, adding this to Slack, or even you can imagine an iPhone app where you can interact with this personal trainer using your voice. Additionally, right now, when I add a new log, the function for inputting the log does not allow me to then review it in the retrieval tool. So I would just need to connect it so that when I add a log, it automatically reinitializes the retrieval tool. So the tools aren't connected. That's something that could improve. Additionally, right now, if I asked for this agent to do a data visualization, it doesn't have access to a code interpreter like environment. It can't actually run, let's say, matplotlib and give me a visualization of my maybe, let's say, improvements or lack of improvements over time. That's something which Langchain has access to. They've created their own version, essentially, of the code interpreter environment. So that's another extra feature that'd be nice to add. So in summary, this is an example of a way for an agent to be able to store new information for you and analyze that information using Langchain.